Hey, it's David Farmer, and today we're going to be talking about display advertising. Display advertising is probably, in my opinion, the most underutilized digital marketing technology that's available to dealers. One of the reasons why it is underutilized because it's not easy. It's hard to be able to create a bunch of different variations of ads and then place those ads, get those ads approved, and then set up all the landing page URLs with the proper UTM code so you can track them, all to just have to go back in and do the exact same thing when the new incentives come out. So for that reason, display advertising for dealers usually ends up being an afterthought, where you'll take one or two different ads and then you'll place them, and you don't get good results because it's kind of bland advertising. So one of the things that Intice does, which is something that we're not well known for, is we've developed a technology solution to be able to accommodate display advertising and be able to deliver a very sophisticated way of utilizing display advertising that is extremely effective, cost-effective, and something that you should be doing. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at display advertising from Intice. So the first thing that we're going to do is, one of the things that we do that's different than most is that we utilize the Google marketing platform instead of using Google Ads directly for display advertising. Now, one of the reasons that we do this is it gives us access to much more control over the creative, and it allows us to build out a technology integration to be able to push into Google Display Network the ad creative itself. And I'm going to show you how that works today during this video. Another reason that we use DV360 is it gives us a competitive cost structure that we can pass on to you, the dealer. So for you utilizing our services, we can layer in our technology really at no net cost to you, and we'll be able to show you exactly how that works out and how we can automate some of the billing and the invoicing to make it really simple for you to be able to execute at a very high level with display advertising for your digital marketing. Display Video 360 gives us access to all of the same great websites to be able to serve display advertising to, but it also gives us the ability to augment that with some additional premium placements that are only available through some private some private placements through DV360. So we have a vast amount of websites that we can serve your ads on right in your geo to the right people with those advanced targeting techniques. Now, some of the advanced targeting techniques that we're going to utilize is going to be retargeting. So we can retarget based on behaviors on your dealership's website. We can then take that retargeting ad group. We can do a customer match or a similar audience to that. So we can do a lookalike, so we can find out the characteristics of those customers that are interacting with your dealership's website, and we can create a lookalike audience. We also have the ability to do first-party data from your dealership's DMS or from your CRM, or if you have access to OEM data, we're able to bring that into the system. We can do a customer match. We can find those customers on the internet and then serve them your display advertisements. There's some other things that we can do from a geo-targeting standpoint. We can geo-target your competitor locations, your location, to make sure that we're serving the right content to the right people at the right place, on the right place on the internet. Now, other things that I want to really focus in on today is the creative itself. Now, we've developed a technology that we call FLUX. Now, the reason that we call this FLUX is in mathematics, there are two properties of flux, and that is a surface and a component. And that's exactly how we built our FLUX display advertising platform. Is we actually have two different components or two different elements of the ad set itself. We have a surface, and then we have a component. And what we're able to do is create these dynamic ad units that's going to include multiple surfaces, multiple components to be able to give you a ton of different ad variation that's easily updatable right in the back end system of intice. So first of all, the ad sizes that we're going to be utilizing for our display advertising for our FLUX is going to include the 4 top performing ad sizes: a 160 by 600, a 300 by 250, a 728 by 90, and then the most popular and effective mobile ad size 320 by 50. And for each one of these ad sizes, we're going to be creating let me just go ahead and play this real quick. For this, we are going to be creating multiple surfaces. We have the ability to create 5 different surfaces and 10 different components. So the surface is going to be that first image that loads in. Generally speaking, we like to utilize an ad campaign, a unique selling proposition, or something that engages the customer into some car buying activity on your dealership's website. An example would be utilizing a tier 1 campaign, such as Toyota's Today's the Day campaign, or maybe we'd switch over to Toyotathon in a surface. Now, after the surface loads in the ad, we're going to be able to add some animation by bringing in the component. So here's another example before we get to the component. Another example of what another surface might be. Maybe a unique selling proposition like a lifetime warranty. Maybe something that engages the customer in car buying behavior, such as providing the customer the ability to get an express cash offer, where a dealership will buy a customer's vehicle whether they buy a vehicle from you or not. This actually utilizes our Trade Value Express technology, and we can drive the customer right from these ads directly to that Trade Value Express technology as installed on your dealership's website. And then what we're going to do is we're going to layer on top of that a component. Now, the component, as you'll see, will start out with the Today's the Day surface for all of these ad sizes, and then that component for example, 21 Toyota Corolla for $189 a month is going to layer in on top of that. There's some animation, which I'll show you later in this video, on how that actually floats in, floats out, floats back in, really catches the eye, makes it really provides a very polished a tier 1 type of effect in that ad unit itself. Now, other examples might be component number 2. You can see it goes back to the surface. That component comes in. Now we're looking at the 2020 Camry. Now the next example, component number 3, and then we layer in that Avalon. One more example, going back to the surface, coming into the 2020 RAV4. Now you can see here's an array of all of the different components that we could build out, which would include all your different model lines. Now you can choose to do 2 or 3 of these. You can choose to do up to 10, but we have the ability to do many different variations of these ads within the FLUX technology. Here's just one example of how to do it. We recommend using 5 surfaces and then 10 components, giving you a great variety of ad content that you can present to customers when they are on a desktop device or a mobile device. Another thing that makes typically what makes display advertising a difficult process is every time that you have a piece of creative, you're going to want to utilize a customized UTM code, so you can see how effective that individual ad unit would be. So our technology actually dynamically creates UTM codes for each individual ad unit. So for example, in this example, we'd use the URL landing page of a dealership's website where they have their ad specials on their dealership. But then we're going to layer in on top of that with the UTM codes, a UTM source of intice. So this is going to be the provider of the ad units, what type of medium was utilized, in this case, display. And then the content, we're going to include, in this example, the lifetime warranty surface name, and then the 21 Corolla LE $189 a month component name. And then the campaign we title Entice Display Flux. Now this gives us the availability right inside of Google Analytics to see all of the customers that have utilized this way of getting to your dealership's website and what they've done afterwards. You could even create a custom goal to see how many customers go from one of these ad units maybe to converting to a lead on your dealership's website, and you can create that conversion funnel, which would give you some visibility into how effective these ad units are. On other videos, we're going to talk about how to set up goals and conversion funnels inside of Google Analytics, and we'll utilize a starting point of a Flux ad so you can really get a good idea of that. So look forward to that in the coming weeks. Let's go ahead and just take a minute and look at some real-life examples of these ad units. So let me just zoom up a little bit on this. So for example, this is a 160 by 600 Flux ad unit. You can see this was an example of a 2020 Corolla or 2020 Camry. I'm going to go ahead and just refresh this real quick. You can see we start with the lifetime warranty. In this case, we're showing the Avalon at $459 per month. Go back to the lifetime warranty, and then we bring in that component again. And each ad unit is going to work out exactly that same way. So we start with the surface, we bring in the component fades away, component comes back in. So we're creating this dynamic effect animation in the ad unit, and then a customer can, of course, click right from this and go to the dealership's website. And again, you'll be able to see right in the UTM code in this URL that we have all this custom content from lifetime warranty, 2020 RAV4 with the component. And then also we're including the DV360 identifier, so be able to get that passed right back to DV360, which allow us to be able to report on that as well. The last thing I want to talk about is how we set this up in the Entice portal. So I'm just going to log in real quick as myself. I'm going to go to the dealer setup here, and you'll be able to see how this all comes together. Just to pull up one of our dealers here, and then you'll be able to see I can go into my display areas. Now, of course, this is where we have our VDP advertising, which we covered in a previous video. We have all of that available, and then we also have our Flux. And you can see that we have our surfaces here with lifetime warranty, express cash offer. We have Toyota, today's the day Toyota event. And you can see that we have these individual surfaces built right in. And then from there, we can include the components. So for example, here is that RAV4 component. You can see how these get loaded in. We can have custom landing pages for each component. And you can see that we pull in that component name right in that dynamically created UTM code. So really creating a full turnkey solution. Lastly, what's nice about the Entice Flux Display advertising is that it also is very easy for us to report on the success of these, where we have an integration with DV360 right into our Google or our analytics, where we can report on all of the leads converted and from what tool we're converting leads from. And then all the way down at the bottom, you can see that we have our targeted display and our retargeting display, and we're able to show the overall impressions, the overall clicks that we're able to generate from the targeted or the retargeting display, what that CTR is, what the overall CPM is, CPC, the view-through conversion, so customers that don't end up clicking but ultimately go to your dealership's website, which actually happens more often than somebody actually clicking on an ad, and then what that view-through conversion rate is, and then the overall spend. So that's all available right in the back-end system of the intice portal. So what we covered today is display advertising. In my opinion, one of the most underutilized technologies that is available to dealers. The reason it's underutilized, it's very difficult to have a comprehensive display strategy unless you're utilizing some sort of technology to do that. There is no other technology like this on the marketplace. This is something that we have created and perfected over the last 8 years. We'd love for you to be able to consider utilizing this as part of your digital marketing strategy. And as always, we really appreciate you taking the time to participate in our videos that we produce. If you got some enjoyment, you got some information out of this video, I would love for you to take a moment and hit that subscribe button, and we will notify you anytime any new content comes out for this channel. This video, along with many others, is going to be available on intice.com.